from 22 on TOEFL Speaking to 26 on TOEFL Speaking in 10 days. Congratulations to Mais getting her 26 on TOEFL Speaking and moving on to the next step to be a licensed pharmacist in the US. I'm so glad that you passed. I'm happy for you. I look forward to hearing about your next steps. And thank you for your post, which is going to give us all your great advice on how you passed. You guys can see Mais's post in our Facebook group. It's the first link in the description of this video. Question number 1 is the one that you pharmacists tell me you need the most work on, the one that you want to improve on the most. Question number 1 is the question that people find the most challenging. And Mais was able to get her 26 to move from 22 to 26 in 10 days by not thinking in an overly structured way, by not thinking in an unnatural way. So instead of thinking that she had to fulfill all of these requirements of a personal example, a non-personal example, whatever, she spoke. She allowed her natural fluency to come out. That's the difference. As Mais gives her advice to you guys who are just about to get your 26 on speaking and move on with pharmacy, she says she didn't use a personal example in question 1. What this tells me is that I was able to help her not think about having to do many things in an unnecessary way, in an unnatural way. Remember, check the scoring rubrics to see if a personal example is necessary. Moving on to her advice on question number 3. Mais says that the difference between 22 and 26 in 10 days was she did not say all of the details from the professor's lecture. That's good. That's correct. The question does not tell us to do that. The question does not say all of the details from the professor's lecture. Sometimes very smart people that I work with will tell me, yeah, but Aaron, I just think it will sound better and I will get a higher score if I repeat. It shows my fluency that I heard everything and that I can say it back. I say, but that's not what the question is asking us to do. We need to really understand the question. And I know most of you watching this right now are thinking you already understand the questions. But as Mais's advice is telling you, she didn't before. She does now. So if you are somebody who thinks that you're getting points for mentioning all of the details, but you're not consistently getting 26 on speaking, you need to ask yourself if the questions are saying, repeat back as many details as you can, or if it's saying to explain something very specifically. For question number 3, instead of focusing on all of the details from the professor's lecture, she did what the question is asking us to do, which is to explain how the topic and the definition from the reading are related to the professor's example. Show the connection, match the connections, integrate. Remember, part of the definition of explain is more detail. More detail comes from your own fluency. Pharmacists, if you, on question number 3, if they give you a reading passage that's about active ingredients, and then the professor's lecture is about loving to drink coffee and getting more things done with coffee, feeling more energetic with coffee, a way to explain, as the question instructs us to do, would be to mention caffeine. But Aaron, the professor didn't say caffeine. He or she doesn't need to. The question is telling me to explain. So my fluency allows me to progress the idea of active ingredients, coffee, by incorporating, integrating caffeine. For question number 4, Mais's advice is to pay attention to the question, to know exactly what the goal of the question is. Even though she's saying this as advice, and I'm repeating it back to you right now, I know that many of you very smart people who will get your 26 just missed that from both her and I. I'm always surprised with how many very smart people tell me in our speaking meetings that they don't even read the question. For question number 4 specifically, they don't read the question. And this is because that's the question that follows the most familiar format. Since you know you are very likely to speak about 2 things, you are probably missing important information, important instructions, important goals from the question of question number 4. Yes, it's going to talk about 2 things, but just like Mais is giving advice in her post, and I'm repeating here, you need to see what specifically it's asking you. One example of this is when question number 4 will tell us, yeah, we get the 2 things, whatever those 2 things are, and it says, explain the differences. The key is the differences. If you are not talking about the differences between the 2, so for example, if you say the first thing is red and the second thing is blue, that's not good enough. You need to say something like, while the first one is a bright red, the second thing is not the same. It's different. It is a dark blue. That's an example of how to focus on the differences, which question number 4 will oftentimes tell us, instead of just list, summarize 1, bullet point 2, bullet point. As many of you have seen from your scores, that's not enough to get a very advanced score of 26. So again, to review Mais's advice on question number 4, read the question carefully. I mean, let's just start by reading the question. I know some of you are realizing right now that you don't read the question number 4, because since it's almost always about 2 things, you assume that the question is asking you to do the same thing, and the advice on speaking templates for question number 4 is also assuming that question number 4 is asking you the same thing. Watch some of my answers, listen to them on question number 4, and spot the differences between how you would answer it and how I would. Lastly, Mais says that one more important thing: the state of Florida is accepting your My Best score. So this is a great opportunity for you guys to continue to move on to the next step. In the description of this video, I'm going to put the link to Florida's Board of Pharmacy. On their website, you can see how you can call them to ask about your specific situation. To those of you that have sent me messages as you're interested in starting speaking meetings with me, but you're not sure where to begin or how many speaking meetings you're going to need, I encourage you to start with my first meeting offer. This is an offer designed to give you an introduction to me and what speaking meetings with me are like. This is enough for you to determine if I am the person who gives you the highest probability of getting your 26 on TOEFL speaking or not. FPGEE. I'm speaking to pharmacists who feel stuck at 24 or 25 on TOEFL speaking. If you know that your speaking fluency is higher than your average speaking section score, and if you have been using speaking templates, stop using speaking templates and instead give yourself the freedom to use the full capacity of your speaking fluency. Hear the advice of other pharmacists who are also suggesting that you stop using a speaking template and instead start using your speaking fluency.
Once you are in the level that you need to become advanced in order to get the 26, you need to get rid of the templates.
Template will hinder your ability to deliver the question, because it shows that you are reading something or you are not speaking, you are reading.
I was using completely different template or different way. I started to apply your way. And once I started to practice your way, oh, it's easy for me.
That was really good for me. It really helped me because with this in my mind, I could speak faster. And because I was confident.
It's challenging, but you know, after you pass it, the feeling of victory, it's worth it.
Aaron Speaking gave me some advice to stop using speaking templates, which made me sound like a robot. Hence, using speaking templates restrained my natural ability to speak. If you are somebody who feels stuck at 24 or 25 on TOEFL speaking?
The templates were like, oh my God, why did they create those templates?
Aaron, you are a big helpful for students like us. We need somebody to like stir revolution in our heart inside, give life to our conversation. And this will never happen through other sites like they have exact traditional pattern, the template, first, second. For example, don't say, for example, the second time, for instance. Really? And like robot, I felt myself without life. I don't have the freedom to speak.
You don't have to worry that much about how can I mention 2 reasons with 2 details or 2 examples. It's too much for me. You help students to increase their fluency.
So instead of feeling like you have to give exactly 2 reasons and exactly 2 examples, instead of following that speaking template or any other speaking template, trust your fluency.
For the students who are taking with you, trust this guy. He's amazing. He will shift or improve your level as soon as possible.
Like just jump my score from 23 to 26, like this. How many hours I took with you? 5. Look at this. 5 hours in 2 weeks. I passed my test.
I hope you keep inspiring and helping more pharmacists and more other students to achieve their goal and become a professional here in the United States.
I advise every pharmacist who needs to get 26. For people who's really, they have concern and they need to do it very fast, go to the original, the source of help.